That's what I'm going to be having for dinner tonight is ribs.
Beef?
No, baby back ribs.
Baby back porks, yeah. I'm a big fan of the beef ones. Yeah, I go over to Smart and Final, and they have the pre-packaged ones, and then I put them in with some teriyaki sauce and all the vegetables, and give them about 40 minutes to cook, and ooh-wee, it's good. That and the toothpick, and I'll be good.
Hey, Nicole, I think we have quorum, right? Quorum 7.
We do have quorum. You will need to appoint Dale, and if Mark joins, I would recommend appointing him as well to vote on behalf of the others that are absent.
I thought they were already on. I didn't.
Who? Oh, we do have some absent members that will not be coming today. We have Dale as our alternate today that you can appoint.
Well, the attachment 2 shows me as a member. Is that?
Well, that won't be effective until you get nominated and presented in front of CCP.
Oh.
And Mark is still an alternate until he's also appointed by the CCP.
Sure.
Got it.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Ozzy.
Hello. Hello.
All right, let's see what we need to do here. And is that all we're expecting here? Let me see.
Yeah, Kayla was not able to join us, and it looks like Nakenya was not be able to join us. I haven't heard from Devon. I'm not sure if she'll show today. And Terrence has a meeting until 2:30, so he'll be hopping in after 2:30.
Okay. I think we should get started here, folks. Welcome to the Community Advisory Board General Meeting. Welcome. We're going to do introductions, but we got to look at our quorum, as I understand that we do need 1, 2, 3.
We're at quorum with our members, but if you want one of the alternates to vote on behalf of one of the absent members, and you would just need to appoint Mark and Dale to do that.
Which we don't need to do if we're at quorum, correct?
I'm not sure if it's a requirement. You can still move forward without them. I think it was just more of having a region represented that was maybe absent from a voting standpoint.
Because we have, what, 3 members absent?
As of right now, yes.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let's, for this meeting, appoint Mark and Dale as voting members so that we, for this meeting. I think I can do that. All right, so welcome. And if we could do introductions, first the CAB members first.
Can I help with that roll call introduction?
I'd appreciate it, Nicole. Thank you.
Okay. Ozzy.
Present.
Crawford.
Present.
Jonte.
Present.
Lila.
Present. Do we want quick introductions as well, or just roll call?
The intent was to do introductions as well, but yes.
Okay. This is my second year on the CAB, and I am the vice chair for the Programs and Services Subcommittee, and it's great to have everyone here today. Thank you.
Michael?
President Michael Pitts, I'm the chair of CAB.
Dr. Hernandez?
Present, CAB member. I think this is my second year starting.
Nicole Green, just to be clear.
I'm here. Sorry.
Dale?
Yes, Dale here. Thank you.
Mark?
I'm present.
Did you want others to introduce themselves in chat, Michael, or would you want to go around the room?
Yeah, I just would like actually everybody just to be able to at least give their full name. So if you've gone through, in case there's folks here in the public that don't know us, and we can kind of at least give first and last name and hello.
I don't think Jonte and Crawford introduced themselves.
Introduce yourself. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonte Davenport, Vice Chair of CAB. This is my second year.
My name's Crawford Carpenter, and I'm with the OCEC or Outreach Committee, and this is my first year with CAB. Thank you.
Represent all the members.
Thank you. Hey, and we don't have like a really big group here. I know we've done the intros through chat, but I think we should just open it up for everybody else here. Maybe give a quick intro, let us know who's here.
I can help with that. Jody?
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jody Sickanetter. I work for Inmate Services at the Sheriff's Office.
Jana?
Good afternoon, everybody. Janet Evans, County Office of Education, Game Plan for Success Reentry Programs inside the jails.
Jill?
Hi there, Jill Bray with the Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson.
Patrice?
Hi, everyone. Patrice Guillory, Director of Office of Reentry and Justice. And if I can take this opportunity, I do want to introduce, and they'll say hi, two of our newest members of our team. We have two planner evaluators, Kimmy Asio and Christina Jackson. We're so happy to have them. And so they'll be attending some of our future meetings here with CAB. And they're welcome to say hi or, oh, Christina's mic is a little, it needs some work. But other than that, Kimmy, you want to say hey?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Kimmy Aseo. Nice to meet you all.
Monique?
Hi. Hi, I'm Monique Tate, Program Coordinator with the Office of Reentry and Justice. Thank you.
And then my name's Nicole Popchek. I'm also with the Office of Reentry and Justice. And I believe that's everybody. Did I miss anyone? That's it.
Thank you for that, Nicole. And also at this time, there's an opportunity for if anyone has any announcements.
Jill has a comment in the chat. She has an announcement.
There we go. Announcement. You're right on time, Jill, as usual.
I didn't know if you wanted me to do it under public comment or now. So just for anybody who wasn't watching the Board of Supervisors meeting for the 7 hours it went on yesterday, they did go ahead and approve the initial spending plan for the Measure X monies, which is the half-cent sales tax, and it equals over $120 million. That's meant to fill the gaps in our systems and the broad variety of systems at the county, or in our county, I should say, not just the county. And just so it's super exciting, one of the major things I think that impacts this group is the trust fund, the housing trust fund that was established that will help to fund all sorts of ongoing efforts when it comes to housing and placing housing and affordable housing and keeping people housed and all the rest. So that's super exciting, not to mention our A3 model of crisis response was fully funded, as was the changes to psych emergency and a whole variety of other programs. And there's another about $7 million that was unassigned that will be discussed further to identify other needs that were not addressed in this first round. And it's a 20-year tax. So this will be super exciting for our county. Oh, and then I also shared with the other supervisors' offices, Nicole, you know this, the announcement for recruitment, and asked if they could include it in their newsletters. And so hopefully you'll be seeing more applicants come forward.
Thank you, Jill. Any other announcements? Hearing none. So agenda item number 2, this is an opportunity for public comment on any item under the jurisdiction of the Community Advisory Board and not on this agenda.
Michael, I know I'm a little bit out of order here, but I did want to let folks know that we are having a stepping stone ceremony for the Concord, Richmond, and Antioch sites this Friday. So I will go ahead and put the link into the chat information for anybody who'd like to attend. It's this Friday from 9 until about 10:15 a.m. And this is for Rubicon programs. Thank you.
Hearing no public comment, our agenda item 3 is for approval of the minutes for October 14th, the 2021 CAB general meeting.
Michael, I raise a motion to approve the minutes from October 14th, 2021 CAB general meeting.
I second.
Is there any public comment? I actually have a comment. I don't know if we've said it, but with kind of us adjusting with the whole Zoom and the setup, I know that Nicole has taken a lot of the duties that the CAB secretary would be. So the fact that all this stuff is captured, I appreciate it. And if we haven't said it before, shame on us. So can we vote on that, please? Can you help us, Nicole, with the vote here?
Yep. Ozzy.
Aye.
Crawford.
Aye.
Jonte.
Aye.
Lila.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Dr. Hernandez.
Aye.
Nicole Green.
Aye.
Nadale.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
So agenda item number 4 is discuss the 2021 CAB membership and current and planned vacancies and potential nominations. Jonte and Nicole, you may have to help me. I know we did talk and plan to get this on the agenda. Do we actually have potential nominations to discuss today?
So the nomination for this particular piece was to, the intent was to bring up one of our alternate members into a voting member status. And the only one left that had not been promoted would be Dale.
Yes.
And we do have another applicant, but we're going to cover that in the outreaches report out down below.
Okay. And so with attachment 2, it shows the CAB roster that would be effective January 21st. If we move forward, as expected with moving Dale as a voting member representing a Central County.
Correct. This would represent with Dale moving forward. This would be what effective January 1st, what the CAB would look like.
So any input from the board members or Dale? We didn't just drop this on Dale, so he knows that this is what we want, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I want too.
So.
And I know also that we just wanted to throw out there, and Nicole done an excellent job of sending us out the CAB recruitment flyer. Just that we're, just getting that passed out to individuals that we may feel, but obviously add to some of the great things we're doing in CAB. So I know that was another thing with the roster, just making sure to fill some of those vacant seats, that we're all doing our due diligence and just word of mouth and spreading out the recruitment flyer as well.
All right.
I have one quick question on the CAB roster. If we are employed and also residents of that area, does that need to be listed as well?
I think it's either or. You can either come on like West County if you're employed in West County, or live in West County, and vice versa.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I won't need to update folks on my move to Contra Costa County then. Thank you.
I mean, I was trying to look at if somebody like once lived in the West one time in their whole life, that we could indicate that they're from West, but I don't think that's in the spirit of what our bylaws are saying.
I have a question. This is Dale.
Yeah.
Are the numbers of voting members in each of the districts, is that based on the population in that district?
The numbers next to the name?
No, I was just wondering, like West County shows 3 members, but Central County has quite a few more, and East County has more.
Well, no, that's just because that's just how it played out with all you wonderful participants and candidate, for CAB. So ideally, if it was evened out, then there would be 4 voting members from each area, and then one alternate member that would bring it to 15.
Okay.
So that's the only reason. So this is a voting item, and the item would be if we would want to move forward to have Dale move from a alternate member to a full voting member. So do we have a motion, or?
I raise a motion to move Dale from an alternate member over to a full voting member.
I second that motion.
That's Ozzy in a second.
Yes.
Is there any public comment?
No public comment. I am just requesting if we can have the information for applying to CAB sent out again. I'd like to see if I can send that out and try to help with, the low West County representation. I know we've done it before. I just couldn't find it in a quick skim. So if we can circulate that again, that would be awesome.
And
confirm again, what is it that you're looking to circulate? What are you asking?
The instructions for applying to the CAB board. There's a form, a document, and then I believe some text and the email that we send around for recruiting for the board.
Okay. Because the one that I just sent out just earlier this week, maybe you were on that, had the online, because there's an online application now, which we're pushing folks to use as opposed to the Word document, just for more ease of use. And I believe that language was in there, but I can follow up with you offline.
Sounds good. I've probably already got it. Thank you so much, Nicole.
And so could we take the roster vote, please?
Yes. Ozzy.
Aye.
Crawford.
Aye.
Dante.
Aye.
Lila.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Dr. Hernandez.
Aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
Dale.
I probably should not vote.
Are you abstaining?
It would be aye, but you can either have it abstain or aye, whatever is appropriate.
We'll abstain.
It's your vote.
Okay, aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dale. Agenda item number 5, report on CAB ambassador meetings. Attachment 3.
With attachment 3, but there's several attachments within that. So
Yeah,
I put them in order of whoever gave me a report out, and then the order of the actual meeting that occurred. So this would be the first one that occurred, which was the district attorney.
And I do want to apologize for the events that I wasn't involved with that aren't on this report. They will be in the next one. The dog really didn't eat my homework, but there was some glitch in sending it to ORJ. It was prepared and sent in. So I apologize to ORJ and the board, but and Mark. Somehow it just didn't get in there. So
yeah, I guess the intent was for folks to not necessarily read word for word, but just provide maybe some highlights that they would like to share with the group.
Sure. I guess, can everyone hear me? I can volunteer and go first.
You're Ozzy. Thank you.
Sure. My assignment was with Crawford Carpenter, and we had a Zoom interaction with District Attorney Diane Beckton. And for me, it was a very rewarding experience because I definitely wanted to meet with her, although I stuck to the ambassador's talking points. And they were very fruitful. I really appreciated the fact that she gave us a brief overview of her what she's actually done within the time frame that she's been with the county, Contra Costa County. I also appreciated the fact that she was the first woman and the first African-American woman in that position since I think it was 1850. So it was a great opportunity for me. And one of the things that she really highlighted and as a focus was the youth, because the youth are our future. And she's actually stated that she's championing a youth diversion program with the emphasis on treatment and not jail. Definitely trying to keep juveniles out of the criminal justice system. And she talked about some of the areas and what that would look like. She also had a deep passion for those who were mentally ill. And also with the youth, it was a focus also on different parameters of the youth, homelessness, mental health, substance abuse. And so she systematically went down the list to include all of those components. She's also championing fuller, more transparent disclosure of officer-involved shootings, and with her wanting to be transparent and getting reports out to the public with exactly what occurred, what happened. Another item that I'm not, since the item is actually included, I'm just gonna kind of go through the things that were really pertinent. She was very supportive of alternatives to incarceration, which would include neighborhood courts. And what neighborhood courts would look like would be a panel of 3 that would be making specific decisions. Hopefully the panel of 3 from individuals or judges or people in authoritative positions taking the lead on those specifics. She also suggested that we be specific when using specific terminology for mental health. She championed the idea of using a restorative justice lens. And the most important thing, she was really concerned with the racial disparities. That was a real big concern of hers, which is also some of the things that our committees, our subcommittees are looking at intently. And as we all know, she concluded with that there is so much work to do. And it was a very enlightening experience. And I felt that we conveyed all of the talking points and we got great feedback, because the way we constructed our interactions was not just reading, but allowing her to interface. And I'd like to thank Crawford for being very supportive and being creative in how we use the ambassador's talking points.
Thank you, Ozzy. Go to the next one, page 15. Our Zoom folks that met with Federalglover, Supervisor Federalglover.
Yeah, actually me and Ozzy met with Federalglover. So much information that, we're trying to, take everything down while still, get our key points in there. But some of the main takeaways is that Supervisor Federalglover has actually opened up the door for us as an invitation for us to, come and get the information that he has about utilizing standard metric measuring systems that can help us, translate to our other organizations about how to actually place down their data to improve accountability and transparency. So that was a really big takeaway that we all will be offering, obviously, next year to one of our CAB members from policy and budget, program and services, et cetera, to continuously work with Supervisor Glover's office for ideas, share ideas and things of that sort. Another huge one is that we got another invitation to collaborate with Federalglover on the Racial Equity and Social Justice Board. This also is a huge component, whether it's just someone going to sit in on the meetings as a CAB member, or also if there's an opening, maybe, sit on that board so we can, stay aligned with what Supervisor Federalglover's office is doing. It was a lot more information. Those are the 2 main takeaways. I obviously put down there his motto because me and Ozzy enjoyed it so much, and that was lasting change for continuous improvement. And it just it stood out to us because as CAB members, that's what we're doing. That's what we're about. So, we definitely want to continue working with Federalglover and his office on improvement in many areas. Ozzy, is there anything else?
I think you really summed it up very well. It was a great experience to actually meet Federalglover and for us to receive a carte blanche and commitment to continue a relationship with CAB. And that was really good news. And we're going to hold his feet to the fire.
Right. Because he really wants us to reach out more, to stay tuned in to what's exactly happening. And he, obviously stays tuned in to what CAB's doing. He actually knows like some of our talking points, like almost verbatim. So, it wasn't his first rodeo with him meeting with CAB, but he really wants us to utilize that open door to have someone in there and working obviously with his office on projects that we're doing and projects that they're doing that can improve individuals from the AB 109 funded program.
All right, thank you, Jonathan.
No problem, Michael.
And if I could just make a comment too, I think this is a good example as you folks with the board, as we're going forward, that the idea too is that there is going to be some familiarity with some of the members and the elected officials or department heads that folks are assigned to. So this is a situation where this is 2 years for Jonte with Supervisor Glover. So the hope is, and I know we looked at it this year, the hope that you can have some continuity with these assignments when you guys decide, who goes where next year.
That's right.
Okay, we have, looks like Nicole, would you like to talk about you guys meeting with probation?
I think she had to step away for a moment. And I think the other individual that was on this assignment was Shayla. And unfortunately, she's not here. So do we want to go to the next one? And
yeah,
Nicole will come back on and she can give us an update.
Well, Nicole was on that. Oh, Lila, could you? Superior Court.
Sounds good. Great. So, I'm sorry, can you scroll up just a little bit for me, Nicole? And that way I won't have to scroll back and forth from different screens. So we, Nicole Green led out and reviewed the CAP talking points and pillars. And then we had a discussion, throughout the talking points. And then I asked a question about his role, and he explained how he manages the different departments and processes within the courts, and you can see more there in the notes. And then there were a few ideas that came out of our conversation as well. Superior Court Executive Officer Matt Malone was commenting about how it can be difficult sometimes to get folks who are coming out of the court system connected into services. And so he, some of the brainstorm ideas were around that piece. And we also discussed the budget recommendations. So we are looking to provide Matt Malone with the reentry directory list, which we already have, which is for the different agencies. And since that's already a resource that's created, so that he can have that and connect out with folks around services, and folks on his team can reach out to entities within that list. Can you scroll down? I think that might be it. Great. Yeah, that's an update from that meeting, and it was really great to meet Matt. Last year at this time when we tried to do the ambassador meeting with the Superior Court, they had somebody interim in the position who was not available to meet, and so it was really, I was really grateful that we had the time to connect this time around.
All right, thank you, Lila. And then I think we have one more report.
I didn't miss anyone.
with Supervisor Diane Burgess. I don't know who wants to take this. This is Jonte and Crawford.
I think we both would chime in on it. This one was actually another very great meeting that we had with Supervisor Diane Burgess. One of the big things I think that Jill sort of mentioned it earlier is that, you know, she really advised us to look into Measure X as far as funding surrounding housing, specifically, you know, like the mental health portion of it, a piece of it. So that was something definitely that me and Crawford both was obviously looking into and wanted to bring back, you know, to the full cab to see how we can explore into that avenues to see exactly how it would align with the AB 109 funding. Obviously, more research is needed at this time, but I think Jill done a great job explaining it to us earlier. And we also developed the contact who also joins our CAP meeting regularly. Alicia, I don't know if she's on the call, but she also worked closely with the reentry population. And we felt like that contact with her directly as far as with Diane Burgess' office was, you know, a huge connection that we can utilize going forward with just staying focused, because many of their goals aligned as far as the housing and the mental health component goals. And she obviously had a lot of priorities that intertwine with what CAP was doing, and a very great person that has just a whole plethora of information that we can tap into to explore research options, as far as also with budget and policy, as far as also the data component from data that have been collected in other states as well as out here, just so we can make sure or just see if it would work for us if we wanted to introduce something new or expand on things that we already have. Crawford, go ahead. Crawford, did you have anything to add to that?
I thought you did a great job. Nothing to add. All's good.
Oh, that's good.
All right. Thank you, Jonte and Crawford. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a few more reports that are going to be on our next board meeting, and that will cover all our ambassador meetings. So if we could move on to agenda item 6, receive reports from CAB subcommittees and external meetings. The report from Board of Supervisors. I know Jill said she spent, I don't know if she spent the whole 7 hours. I think I did 1/10 of that. And what I did get, and maybe she can, the thing that she already discussed the Housing Crisis Fund, Housing Trust Fund, Crisis Response, and that there's $70 million going to be out there. And also, I know there was a recommendation to fund the Office of Equity and Social Justice. I think that was $1.2 million. Again, I don't know if that whole report was accepted. Maybe you can let me know that, Jill. Was that the case? Because I did read the report.
Yeah. So it's a total of 204. Let's see. Ongoing appropriations of 106 million, a total of 204 million in this first round, which is far exceeding what we anticipated, which is 80 million a year plus a one-time of 20 million. So a lot more funds than we anticipated, or I guess the two, yeah. So, so there's a variety of areas, mental well-being, you know, which is the things that we already mentioned, including a pilot program by the San Ramon Valley Fire Department to do crisis response. And then equity in action, which includes what you spoke about, the racial equity and social justice, which we still are, it's not an advisory board at this point in time. There's a circle of people or something, or work group or something, and we're not really 100% sure what's happening there yet, but we're working toward understanding more. So that eventually will be lifted up in our county. Arts and culture was funded, and then healthy communities, which is all about health services. And there's a whole bunch of funding requests in there for facility upgrades, which were put on hold. The Board of Supervisors approved the psych emergency upgrades, but the rest of the facility asks, which add up to a lot of money, have been on hold to get a better understanding about like priorities and what really needs to be done now versus what can be spent over a period of time. The Local Housing Trust Fund has been given $10 million to start. And ongoing will be 12 million for that housing trust fund, which is that pot of money really needed for everything that we talk about housing, whether it be to match nonprofits developing units for permanent supportive housing, or, you know, like the rapid rehousing grants. So a whole bunch of different things could fall in that, as well as rent relief and that sort of thing. Permanent supportive housing was funded at 5.2 million out of this first pot. And then they put on hold Contra Costa cares. They put an earmark on there because we're evaluating what Medi-Cal will be covering going forward, or Medicare will be covering going forward, and what we still need to cover for that immigrant population who doesn't have benefits otherwise. County youth centers in both East and Central County were funded, which are huge, and we're looking to do a whole bunch with those, including mental health, including diversion, and overall activities for youth. Accessible transportation strategic plan was funded, and then a bunch of East County fire and fire things and sustainability and illegal dumping in this first round. And as a reminder, this is for the next 20 years, we will have somewhere around 80 million or more every year to, some of it will be ongoing, but some of it will be as things emerge, we can fund new programming. And I think that pretty much covers it. Oh, the other thing that, I'm sorry, my dog is barking. The other thing there is in there was a request for body cameras for the sheriff, and that was approved. But there was a request from both West and East County supervisors had requested patrols, more patrol officers for unincorporated areas, and that was not funded. They are going to have that greater conversation at the budget workshops to not be included in Measure X, but to look at other funding mechanisms if those are needed, determined to be needed.
Hey, thank you, Jill. And you might have answered this question already with what you just reported to us, but did I understand too that there are some funds that would be available for community-based organizations that were fulfilling the work that would be under that section? So just say if there was housing, then there would be,
yeah.
There's some earmarked and there's some out there that's going to be bid on. Did I read that correctly?
So what's going to happen is all of these different mechanisms fall under departments, right? So like in particular, the youth centers will fall under Employment and Human Services Department. Mm-hmm. And so they will be the organizing department who will then put out RFPs to contract with CBOs. So while the intention is much of this money will likely be implemented by CBOs, that will be under each department to do those processes. And then the other thing is there is an innovation fund that was funded, and it's sort of a big question mark, like what would that fund? And that's something that will be further discussed. And there's about 7 million that wasn't attached to any funding ask that will also be determined to catch the extra stuff. So there's, and then they also reduced the, they had the county staff had said 25% of Measure X funds every year should go toward the reserves, and the Board of Supervisors said that was too much. There's other, since this is general fund monies, our general fund budget already has a reserve. So they just agreed to set 20 million aside every year into reserve, just in case for whatever reason there's fluctuations in this funding we can cover programs going forward. And they're also looking at multi-year contracts. As you all know, you have had this discussion. It was a fairly new discussion at the board level, but you guys are very well familiar with the idea of a 3-year contract to help programs stand up and get rolling.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jill. How much of that did you do the whole 7?
Did I do the whole 7 what?
So you said it was a 7-hour meeting.
I sure did.
Hey, thank you for condensing it for us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. Do we have any report from the PBC? Did that meeting happen?
I see Dale's hand raised. I'm assuming for the Board of Supervisors.
So what would you say? I'm
Dale's
sorry.
Dale's hand is raised.
Oh, go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, just 2 quick things. I attended the meeting also, and I just have 2 things to say. A lot of the public was urging the board not to make any decisions yesterday. Several people came forth with that, but this is the first board meeting that I have attended, and I am very impressed with the dedication of our supervisors.
All right.
And to answer your question, there was a PPC meeting on October 25th.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have anything from that meeting.
I attended, though I got there a little late, so I'm happy to share a bit of updates that I can recall, and then Jill, if you're there, you can help fill in where I may have missed some things. Our Chief Probation Officer presented her annual plan for a DJJ realignment. And actually this is the one part of the meeting where I missed because I came in a little late. But ultimately it was a description of how they plan to do a realignment of young people that would have been typically committed to the Department of Juvenile Justice at the state level. Now that's being realigned down to the county level. And I'm assuming some conversation ensued there. Are there any particular things that stood out, Jill, if you were there?
They just did the reappointments of the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council and did the fix on the few seats that come up every year that they decided to make ex officio. And then they, of course, did the appointments to the CCP.
Yeah,
the Community Corrections Partnership. Those were the only 2 other besides the report, the excellent report that Isa gave.
Yeah. And then there was also some discussion about a number of different public safety bills that were signed by the governor's office, obviously, or by the governor, that will be taking effect. I think the one that really stood out, and there was some conversation around AB 177, which eliminated quite a few administrative criminal justice fees. And so that will take, once that takes into effect, that's going to affect counties. I think they're anticipating providing, I'm looking at it right now, providing some extra dollars to counties in the amount of 25 million to help backfill for this current year. And then in 22-23, it would increase to 50 million. So my understanding is that our county for now may not know what the direct impact will be just yet, or how much we're expected to receive of that big chunk of money. But anyway, but needless to say, the state has taken action to eliminate a number of different administrative fees. And that one was, I want to say, the most discussed during the meeting.
Yeah, and just to add some context to that, the significance of that is our county already eliminated most of those fees and erased the significant amount that was owed collections. And so the biggest concern with that bill was, since we did it prior to this bill being passed, would we be eligible to receive those backfill funds? And the answer is yes, we still are, even though we've already eliminated those fees prior to this bill being passed. So that was a significant piece of that legislation. The actual elimination of the fees doesn't impact us because we'd already done it.
Thank you, Jill. And as she mentioned, the other items had to do with the Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council, creating a fix in terms of the membership there, and also affirming the CCP membership for the next year. And that was it.
And then the last thing is that the next meeting of the PPC is going to be December 16th from 1 to 3. They combined both the November and December meetings. So that will be the next one. And I noticed it's not on this agenda, so just so you all know.
Thank you. And then I don't have an answer, but there may be a question on how the realignment with DJJ may come under our purview for CAB. Is what does that person look like that maybe is an adult in age and then maybe was under juvenile jurisdiction? So I don't know if there's a lot of those people, but that might be something that we would be looking at, especially for the folks that are in the, the providers for realignment, where those people fit in. And maybe there's already answer for that, Patrice, but that may be a question going forward.
I'll at least say that, the department is looking to invest in services for transitional age youth. So those who are aging out of the juvenile system or older in the juvenile system would probably fall into that category. So there are some internal conversations that are happening around how do you plan services for that. So we certainly can share updates as the planning of those services and when they eventually might go out for bid happens. We can certainly provide updated information to CAB on that.
But certainly the DJJ realignment went into effect in July. So it's already going. And if you all haven't had a presentation on the plan going forward for that population, that might be a great idea, Patrice, to be scheduled so that this group can see what's happening with that older population.
Okay, thank you. And now we have a report from the CCP meeting, which was on the 12th, and that was their budget meeting. And part of that agenda was the CAB budget proposal and narrative and the policy brief. So kind of briefly discussed our main points with the policy brief. Also the discussion about our request for the 3% COLA that came from CAB, and a little history on why we kind of decided on that. It was voted on to be moved forward at that time. And I also just want to let the CAB know that there was some very complimentary statements made about our body during that meeting. And so it was that our work was appreciated. And for anybody who wasn't there, I just wanted to pass that Did you have something to say, Jonte? Were you had a comment?
No, I was just also impressed at the CCP meeting, at the recognition that they obviously gave CAB. When they went through our brief, they obviously acknowledged that, a lot of the viable information that we had inside of there really, works towards assisting individuals that are part of the AB 109 realignment. And when it came time, obviously, for the vote, it was unanimous. And it was just great hearing them speak well about us and just moving forward with the things that we placed forward to them, just keeping them in a central view of, of what's doable and what's actually, not doable. So that was basically it, just piggybacking on what you said, Michael.
And then, and I just want to give kudos to the whole board. I mean, we all kind of did pieces to put this together with the ideas and where we wanted to move forward. And, we couldn't have really done it without ORJ really kind of putting putting all the ingredients together to maybe make that cake that tastes really good, to use a baking analogy, and also, with the policy and budget subcommittee. So I thought that went well. And it was a pretty short meeting. So, with maybe being accused of just really being concerned about our business, I don't know if I missed anything that is pertinent to CAB that came out of that meeting, because I was really focused on us.
Yeah, there were some other items, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be honest. I really was concentrating on us. So.
Well, before I run down some of the other pieces, was there anything else folks wanted to say, at least in regards to your proposal and your brief?
For clarification, is the next step for the proposal and narrative, let me form it as a question so I don't make myself wrong from the beginning. What is the next step for the budget proposal and the policy brief?
Sure. So this November meeting was for CCP to at least start with, having some discussion and deliberation around the various budget proposals, including CABs. The next phase is for the December meeting for CCP to now vote to approve all of those requests and recommend them to the Board of Supervisors to include in their full budget, in their general budget. So you have an opportunity if there's any updates or changes that you want to make based on the conversation that took place during the CCP meeting, to make any changes to your budget proposal. That is still available to you. If not, it just goes as is. As Michael mentioned, there wasn't a whole lot of, I believe he mentioned this, Michael, so forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but there wasn't a whole lot of feedback necessarily from CCP members on your specific budget proposal. But I will say that we did hear from Superintendent of Schools, Lynn Mackey, who asked a lot of questions around housing in particular. So I can share a little bit more about that, but if that is an area that you all, based on some of the questions that were raised, if that's an area that you all wanted to look into that might affect either your brief or your proposal, your budget proposal, you still have opportunity to make any changes if you feel necessary. So that was a long answer to say the next step is it moves forward to the December meeting for approval.
To the PPC, right?
I'm sorry, yeah, to CCP in December. I believe it goes to PPC also by December. Jill, at their December 13th meeting?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other comments on that meeting or?
So the other updates on, at least from the other agencies, behavioral health did request for 2 additional mental health clinicians to support the 2 additional MET officers that the Sheriff's Office is bringing on board. And then just as an administrative sort of fix, behavioral health is willing to take on the existing MET officer contracts that ORJ currently holds or manages or supervises. So the good thing about that is, one, that there's now parity for behavioral health to have the clinicians in place to support all of the officers that are in existence. And then 2, the whole scope of support in both administratively as well as the actual service itself can now reside within behavioral health's budget. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And the Public Defender's Office also had a few additional requests. There were quite a few questions regarding their proposal for their Stand Together COCO project. More so wanting to understand the alignment between their service, what they're offering, and to the intention of AB 109, and actually if how much of it is supporting AB 109 population. Also wanting to know a little bit more about their outcomes and their partnerships with other CBOs. So I would not be surprised if that comes up again for the December meeting. There was a lot of conversation around that. And thinking through where is actually the best place for Stand Together COCO, if it should be within the realm of supported by AB 109 funding, or if there's room for it when the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice opens up.
And just to piggyback on that, Patrice, just so everybody knows if they haven't seen the budget, that Stand Together started with a $500,000. Well, it was started out with outside of the AB 109 budget, and it was in partnership with nonprofits. And so the nonprofits that partnered with Stand Together actually have pulled out and are no longer providing funding. So the ask out of the AB 109 budget last year was $500,000, which sort of slipped through. This year it's 1.3. And so that's why, and there's no data outcomes. It was supposed to be a pilot project. It's now, I think, in its 5th year. So just, it needs to be, just like everything else that you all are doing, is you want to see outcomes. You want to make sure that this sort of works within this population of AB 109ers versus, it's an important and necessary program, but maybe just doesn't match with this population, which is why the questions are coming up, and there's supposed to be a presentation next month to explain the nexus as well as outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And was that 1.3 total, or they were asking for 1.3 more?
They're asking for a total of 1.3, the full funding request, plus an additional chunk of change out of AB 109.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see here. And to that point, everyone, I would say, yeah, most of the agencies, except for CAB, use the new template that included the breakdown of contracted providers. So you can also see for, I want to say that for the Stand Together COCO budget request, there was also that additional attachment. And so my understanding is that, yes, some of those contracted CBO, the numbers went down there. Let's see what else. I did mention that Lynn Mackey asked some questions about housing and wanted to know if there were enough beds that are being supported for the population. And I'm forgetting who responded to her. I slipped my notes here. So the response to her was not necessarily that, yes, we have enough beds and that obviously there's a need for more support, but a description at the very least of how housing services are being provided. Oh, the chief responded. Thanks, Monique. Let's see. And then when we came to the policy brief, the recommendation was to agendize all of CAB's recommendations for future meetings. So you all have now set a new precedence, carrying over from, the prior year. So for future years, I'm anticipating that we can expect that your recommendations will be thoroughly discussed in future CCP meetings and not just, the one at the end of the year. The other agenda item was also focused on the CCP implementation plan and survey. So this is a plan that is required of all counties to be given to or submitted to the Board of State and Community Corrections. It is due on December 15th. And so there was a request made to all CCP members to provide updates to that plan. And so a final updated plan will be shared during the December meeting. Let's see. And finally, the December meeting will be December 3rd, and it will be moved up to 10 a.m. For the anticipation of further discussions around the budget. So we'll mark that on our calendars that the next CCP meeting will be December 3rd at 10 a.m., not 10:30. And that was it.
Thank you so much. So we just have a couple more reports. If we get a report out from the Outreach and Community Engagement Subcommittee?
Yes, the Outreach and Community Engagement Committee had a meeting. And if you'd please refer to attachment 4, pages 21 through 21 of your agenda packet. And that should put you in sync here with me, and I'll try to summarize what we have. Basically, let's take a look at our 5 takeaways from our meeting. The first one, we expanded the language of the CAB recruitment flyer to include anyone interested in public safety issues. The next item, we reviewed the addition of possible questions for applicants on the application form. And instead, we settled on further involved screening during the actual applicant interviewing process. The third takeaway, we discussed greater outreach with the committee, which the committee has been engaged in, and we'll talk about that later. The fourth takeaway, while the focus is on outreach in West County, we have to be concerned first with filling our 12-member board seats, followed by filling our 3 alternate positions. And then our final takeaway, committee members will be proactive in following up with the city contacts regarding our CAB meshes. Now let's talk about the deliverables that we think we had out of our meetings. We had 2. Our message was sent out to, I believe, 19 cities representing the breadth of Contra Costa County. And our committee number 2 has established a contact at Diablo Valley College's Administration of Justice program to bring in structures to our body as needed, as well as hopefully urging Administration of Justice students to apply to CAB, again, to give us another perspective. And that's basically our brief report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Crawford. And that's not actually a voting item, correct?
No, it is not. Oh, no, wait. I think there was another item that'll potentially be a vote item, which will be the following item.
All right, can you discuss that? You're talking about I, D?
DI, yes, yeah. Okay. Okay, all right, hey, we'll get this together. Okay, we had a meeting recently, in fact, yesterday, and this is regarding the recommendation of Darrell Michael to be a CAB member. Darrell currently resides in Oakley, and originally he's from Detroit City, Michigan. His passion is working with those individuals who hopefully will be returning to society. He's previously had firsthand experience working as an outreach individual for individuals in Union City, California. His areas of importance for returning citizens were listed in this order: housing, number 1, mental health, number 2, and employment as number 3. A memorable comment that he made during the interview was changing the mindset. In effect, he was saying, flip the view of life and change the way you see yourself. That's the way he looked back at how he felt individuals should change their mindset. As you can see, he's an impressive individual who has a desire to help those that are in the reentry process, and we wholeheartedly recommend that Dow be appointed to CAB.
Okay.
And I guess then we should be looking for a motion that he be considered as a CAB member.
I have a quick question. Often when, okay, I guess it's a two-part question. So would this be for the upcoming CAB year, January to December 2020 is my first question. And then the second question is a comment and a question. Often when we're voting to bring folks in to CAB, you know, we invite those individuals to come and to speak a little bit on their behalf. I've found that it tends to be a pretty, you know, helpful litmus test if folks, you know, come to that and are engaged, you know, for success moving forward with the board. So those are my two questions / comments.
Okay, well, maybe I can answer your first question, Lila. The first question, we would like to get him on the board immediately. There's no reason to wait to next year. Let's get him started now, if appropriate, so that we move forward and we have basically individuals in place as we begin the new calendar year. And your second question was, could you repeat that, please?
If they were invited to come to this meeting to speak about their interest in being a part of the CAB.
Yes, I believe Nicole did invite him. He was present at our meeting, but he did indicate that he has an afternoon or late shift type job. And so I'm assuming, and you know what happens when you assume, I'm assuming that his appearance here may have interfered with him getting to work on time. So that's
he was here at the beginning. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reorder our agenda items to accommodate him, but he was here earlier.
Oh, he was.
Good to know. And it sounds like the subcommittee has also, you know, stressed the importance of availability for meetings and all of that important information as well.
And I did want to clarify about when this would be effective, because technically we don't have a vacancy right now with the exception of alternates. And this would be approved in the December 3rd PCP. So I think that the body just needs to decide if this would be the goal would to be getting into the voting member seats or focusing on alternates. And it might be a two-part where he's an alternate for December. And then come January, when we know we have voting member vacancies, he becomes a voting member. So that would be something that would need to be discussed.
Jill has her hand raised.
So I just had a question, and I know this has been brought up before. So if he's appointed in the year 2021, does that shorten his term? Versus if he starts January of 2022, which would be his first full year.
I believe, Jill, the charter says if it's after July, then really you're not considered for that year. I believe, now I don't have that charter because we were working on our charter revisions, but I believe there's a certain date and he would meet that criteria. So even though he would come on the board, let's say December of 2020, his term would not start until 2021.
22.
And then,
I mean,
2022. Yeah.
Yes.
And then my other question on that is, given the CCP meeting schedule, if you made him an alternate in 2020, at the end of 2021, when would the next CCP meeting be able to be that you could then move him into a regular seat versus just having CCP appoint the full 2022 board all in December?
I did talk to Paul Reyes about that. Typically March is the next CCP meeting for the beginning of the year. But if a special meeting is needed, they can accommodate that. But that's why this office, ORJ, was trying to encourage the group to nominate him as a voting member for 2022 because there is that lag in the next CCP meeting.
This is Dale. Crawford is correct with what I have read, that if it's after July 1st, then that doesn't count as the first year.
Sounds like we may not need him as a voting member for the last, I'm trying to think. So if he was approved in December for December, we may not need him in December. And so I am wondering if it's an appropriate time for me to make a motion to, to approve him as a board to recommend him as a voting member for 2022.
Nicole, could you put up the screen? You've got effective January 1st of 2022. Do you by chance have a screen that gives current composition of the board?
I don't have it on this agenda packet.
Okay. Because I thought, aren't we one shy or two, what's our current composition? I think that would assist Lila in her motion.
Well, really, all of that is going to change come December 31st, which is why we propose this composition, because this is really what's going to happen January 1st. And to Lila's point, I mean, at this point, we only have basically the CAB general meeting left for December, with the potential of some subcommittees having their December meeting, which will be decided this week. So there really isn't a need for a voting member at this point, but that's for you guys to decide.
Right,
so Michael and Devon and Shayla are off here because they're terming out. So essentially, this is what the current status is, with the exception that Devon, Michael, and Shayla are not on here.
I have a comment. So one, I hear what you're saying, Lila. It's just different that we didn't necessarily have the person here to kind of meet and greet. But with that being said, I also have like a great deal of confidence that outreach is really looking to find people, and that they want to really thoroughly, it's not the right word, the word I was going to use is not the right word, but that they wanted to really be concise and thorough with their interview questions, what information they're giving the people. And I feel confident with their recommendation that we move forward with this person. So, you know, kind of acknowledging the fact that, you know, we didn't really see him, but I don't necessarily think that's necessary. The other point is, I think this is what you're saying too, Lila, or whoever said it. The question is, so I feel like we should move forward on how we want to move forward, but I don't feel like there's any urgency. So that, and so what's on the screen now, as far as what the roster is going to look like, that's what's the thing that's most important. So I don't know exactly who said it, but you know, my opinion is, however he comes in, if it is as a alternate or a voting member, that there's no urgency as far as business being done in December. It is matching up to the bodies that's going to authorize the person being on our board. So I don't know if that was muddled or not, but that's just my take on this process.
If I could just kind of just chime in here. So the choice is either appoint him immediately to an alternate seat, which he would stay in until March, or appoint him starting in January to a regular seat. Those are the two choices that you have right now. So I don't know if there's an upside or downside to either one of those choices, but those are the two choices available, because they're not going to call a special meeting of CCP to do this.
That would have the board at 11 to start.
I saw that a Terry Dunn was looking to speak. And I was also curious, so this individual would be roughly in the East County area, correct?
Yep, another East County.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I support, the outreach subcommittee and Crawford's recommendation. And if no one has anything else to add, I would probably, prefer for him to come on as a voting member in January as opposed to March, so that we have, the full, the spots full for voting cab members. And so maybe I'll come back to my motion, and just to make sure that I'm understanding things, this would give us a full membership of voting members for January 1 moving forward, correct?
No, it would be 11. It would still be one short.
Okay, got it. So we would still have one more space. Okay, yes. So I make a motion to appoint, I didn't get this individual's whole name. I'm sorry, it might be on another.
Darrell Michael.
Darrell Michael to a voting cab member position starting January 2022.
I second.
Is there any public comment? Can you help us with the vote here, please, Nicole?
Yes. Ozzy.
Aye.
Crawford.
Aye.
Jonte. Did you lose Jonte?
Aye. Aye. Can you hear me, Nicole?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh,
Lila.
sorry.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Dr. Hernandez.
Aye.
Dr. Cole.
Aye.
Dale,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Crawford.
Before you go forward, Terry Dunn, would you kindly recognize the individual? He joined our outreach meeting yesterday and was seeking information about joining CAB. Might you recognize that gentleman? Maybe we have an opportunity to bring someone else into the fold.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you looking for me to?
Well, somebody should recognize the gentleman.
When you say recognize, in what fashion
Well,
are you? I mean, he's a member of the public, and he's a member of the public, and he made a comment that he's here to observe.
Okay, but he may have something to say, is what I was getting at. Could somebody recognize him to speak?
He put in the chat that he has no comments.
Oh, okay, good then.
But I do. I have a comment.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Terry Dunn. First of all, this is Jill Ray with Office of Supervisor Candace Anderson. And I just want to point out, as you're looking at the roster, and I know it's tough to look at that with so few people from West County, you know, yay, Lila, for representing. But as you look at this, if you all of a sudden got an influx of West County applicants, you certainly could fill all alternate seats with West County people. So this is just laid out pretty, but it doesn't, I mean, it could be 3 alternates that all come from West County, because you all seem to have fruition that happens with your board, so you can move people up as you need to through the year.
Thank you, and I'm glad to hear that. I don't know if I was feeling sensitive when I first reported kind of our new members and where they were in the county, and that I know there was some concern about us trying to get the distributions even, but it's been good to see. I saw the language with the outreach committee, and I've heard it you know, said in this board that, yeah, we really want to make sure that we can get a full and vibrant board, and that's the first step. And then going back to the food analogy, the icing would be if we could just get like perfect distribution across the counties. So there's some work to be done. So do we got a report, Lila? It's you again, Programs and Services Committee. Just kind of a.
Sure, I'm happy to do this unless Nicole wants to jump in. She was there as well. I can get started, and then if anybody else has anything to add. So we are having our next Programs and Services Subcommittee meeting tomorrow, actually. So folks are always welcome to join that meeting, and that one will be held from 11:30 to 1 tomorrow. And some of the agenda items that carried over from our previous meeting will be an update on adult restorative justice programs within Contra Costa County from ORJ. There was a brief, written message, and so there'll be a verbal update on that tomorrow. And then also to review restorative justice policy brief recommendations, and a document which was a summary of what we learned from a number of restorative justice presentations and conversations that we had this last meeting in, it was in October now, it's hard to believe. And then we also had Mark Thomas, who gave some presentation about definitions. Sometimes we use interchangeably restorative justice practices, restorative justice circles, restorative justice, etc. So we had a conversation about that, and we'll also be further identifying our common definitions in the meeting tomorrow. And that yeah, we had a discussion, an important discussion about housing as well. And, you know, we look to, you know, include that in our work plan for the subcommittee for next year. And yeah, also spoke about comprehensive needs assessments and how we may want to recommend that the subcommittee continue that next year as well. That's it for my updates. I'm not sure if Nicole is on or wanted to add anything.
She unfortunately had to step away, so.
All right, thank you, Lila. And then Jonte, Policy and Budget Subcommittee.
Thank you, Michael. Just to piggyback also on what Lila said, I had the pleasure to attend the last Programs and Service meeting, and just really want to commend Mark Thomas. He just broke down the definition of restorative justice and how it can be directed and implemented inside of programs. And it was just like a way clearer vision. I was like, okay, I'm starting to get more and more of exactly the whole restorative justice piece. So Mark Thomas, if you're on the line, big kudos to you. You know, you really explained that great. As far as policy and budget, we obviously got our budget proposal and narrative passed. So that was one big highlight of it. And we also passed our policy brief recommendations. One of the main focal points of the last policy and budget meeting is the continuation of our work plan, just making sure that our goals stay aligned for the next group that is coming in, so they can, you know, continue working with what developmental and research aspects we've implemented and also researched. And we also discussed, let's see. And I think that was about it. That was really the two top things, and just going forward for our next meeting, just continuing on with any add-ons that we would have for our work plan for things that had got done this year. There really wasn't anything else. Yeah, so that was it from policy and budget.
All right. Thank you, Jonte. Oh, now we had a report from HIP. I think I went, oh, actually I attended that meeting. I didn't have a written report. They were just actually giving their, most of that meeting was them giving their outcomes and their stats and everything. I don't know what necessarily was specific to CAB. And I don't think any other members were there. So, in the steering committee, did that occur? Monique, you got you on here for that?
Yes, thank you. So I attended the steering committee on October 13th. And what the steering committee proposes is a transition plan. And I don't have the document to share yet because it's still in draft form, but I can basically state the bullet points of what the takeaways are. So the new structure will meet the current needs as well as years to come. And so the role of the current steering committee will consist of high-level subject matter experts who support the center's mission and agree to meet on a semi-annual basis. So this is what they're proposing. And then, so the operations team, well, they'll be giving advice to a new operations team that will meet monthly on key issues, effective program oversight, planning, strategic objectives, service integration, and project financing and sustainability, impactful marketing strategy, and measurable outcomes. So at the semi-annual meetings, the steering committee members will receive updates on the Reentry Success Center's progress and project outcomes. And so some of the main takeaways, they have a list of bullet points, but I'll just point out a few. To remain familiarity with the center and its mission, strategic objectives, priorities, and project work plans. Also to provide subject matter expertise, guidance, and advice on key issues with regard to the center resource development, sustainability, and impact. And the last bullet point I'll point out, support internal and external communication about the center. And so, as I stated earlier, the goal is to, and in an effort to support the daily operations of the center, the new operations committee will be comprised of partners providing services at the center, and it will be developed and they'll meet on a monthly basis. And some of what they will agree to do on a monthly basis is support the vision and mission of the center, develop an annual work plan, participate in the center's evaluation processes, and share data as allowed within privacy policies, and then participate in the center's training and professional development activities to promote project success. So at this time, it's still in draft form, but I will meet with the center soon, and I will get an update on how soon this will be finalized. And I believe it needs to be voted on by the steering committee. And then since they'll be meeting on a semi-annual basis, I believe the next meeting is likely to occur sometime the beginning of next year, probably at least by March, I would think. But like I said, I'll bring an update when that occurs. And I know a CAB member sits on the steering committee also, so that person will likely get the information as well. So that is all I have to update at this time.
Thank you, Monique. And that brings to the end the second to the last CAB meeting of this calendar year. Before I adjourn, is there any other comments from the board? Anything we missed here? All right, I just want to
highlight that next CAB meeting is your last official CAB general meeting as chair.
Indeed. Yes, it is. And so I just want to thank everybody for participating. I felt like we got a lot done today. So thank you for being here as well as public members. So we're going to adjourn to our next meeting, which is December 9th from 10 to noon. All right, we're adjourned.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.